that more than me and anybody, when you grow up in that environment at home and you watch TV, you read the newspaper, you always were a slave, how do I expect that kid grow up to be successful?
Well, I tell
This giver was turning it up like I was in a video on BT. You can't erase your past away, but you can take control of your past away, but you can take control. Rise above the rest and
Hi, this is Sean Delon with the Sean Delon Show, and I have my co-host Jordan Bird with the Sean Delon Show, and Diane Watson, former Congresswoman.
Hi there, I'm Jordan Bird here with Sean Delon, our host, and we're interviewing our Honorable Diane Watson.
here on the show. And Sean, thank you for inviting me. Well, who am I? Well, I started as a school teacher here in Los Angeles, California. And for the Board of Education, I lost, but I kept going for 2 years, and I was the first African American woman to be on the Los Angeles Unified School Board. And I was there for about 4 years, and from there I was chosen by President Bill Clinton as a U.S. ambassador. And I spent 2 years overseas in Micronesia. And from there I went to the California Senate for 20 years and then 10 years in Congress.
Since I'm African American, and I'm proud to be African American, I got denied from USC when I applied because I was not dark enough, and they denied me based on my skin color. However, I had to appeal, but USC, they were honor my request, and they're very respectable, and I get accepted. And as African American, shows that I was slave. How could I be grow up in society to be successful? How can I grow up? And it's the back of my mind, always I was enslaved. I came as a slave. I hear in TV I was a slave. Everything that slave, slave, slave. And which is not true, because black people, they were not slave in Africa. They were king, they were queen, they were imperial, they were successful. Mm-hmm. So I think I want to talk to people working with you and in the Congress that we need to have certain amendments, certain new law to change in the school books, that the black history did not start with being a slave. We need to show back where it came from Africa when they were king and queen and Nefertari and Cleopatra and Tutankhamun and others in Africa. So we need to change the book to show how black they were ruler. They were successful psychiatrists, and you know that more than me and anybody, when you grow up in that environment at home and you watch TV, you read the newspaper, you always were a slave, how do I expect that kid grow up to be successful?
Well, I tell young people when I speak, I said, you're descendants of kings and queens, princes and princesses, chiefs, and so on. And each one of the tribe had a different set of things that they valued. So that kind of shapes those Africans on the continent, what they believe and how they believe.
So we need that to be, but this is...
And the textbooks need to reflect
change,
that, and so we do change our textbooks.
We need to
often.
change, we need to talk to people in the Congress. I'm going to work hard. Successful.
Well, I tell young people when I speak, I said, you're descendants of kings and queens, princes and princesses, chiefs, and so on. And each one of the tribe had a different set of things that they valued. So that kind of shapes those Africans on the continent, what they believe and how they believe.
So we need that to be, but this is...
And the textbooks need to reflect
change,
that,
because
and so we do change our textbooks.
we need to
often.
change. We need to talk to people in the Congress. I'm going to work hard on that. Join forces
Well,
with
we
you.
are.
I want that joy, hey, I want that joy, I want that joy. This giver was turning it up like I was in a video on BT. You can't erase your past away, but you can take.
I'm going to go specific, then we'll go all over the view. Regarding the immigration issue we have, don't you think we really have immigration problem in this country?
Absolutely. We're all
They
immigrants.
have their own sovereignty and own control border like any country around the globe. We're not.
We are sovereign.
But the border is a corrupted open border for anybody come to this country. And people should come to this country with visa, valid visa, passport, and fingerprint. That way we can have safe society. It has nothing to do against any Mexican or any other foreigner people.
That's what's required now.
But isn't it the Mexican should come to this country with a valid passport and visa and respecting the law of the country? As Mexico has border with Guatemala and other country, Mexico has border with Guatemala. So why they don't have border with the United States?
There, we have a current president that wants to build a fence. I'm Catholic. The Pope said, build a bridge. And you know, if you notice, those 9 southern states on the Delta, they're not saying much because who works in the fields does about 11 to 20 billion dollars to build a fence.
I want Jordan to jump in. She's from Texas, and I want to hear her view. She's from Texas.
Well, I'm kind of diverse. I'm not for Trump or nor against him, so I don't have a say over that. But Texas is definitely a Republican state, so I went to his rallies and stuff. And he did talk about the fence. I think it's currently being built though, right? Is that correct?
There's a certain area where the fence was, and he wants to complete, you know, the fence. And once somebody is able to scale it or go under it, that money could be used to fortify our infrastructure.
For sure. Are you kidding me? There's so much poverty and people going hungry. We could be using that for school programs and like there's so much we could use it for.
Yes.
I think I mean I get what he was saying with immigration with the problem with the illegal immigrants coming over, but I think they should have the ability to earn the right to be a part of our country if they want to reside here. It was crazy.
How are you going?
The immigration problem in this country.
Absolutely, we have a problem.
Regardless of the wall or not the wall, but we have a problem. And our street is not safe.
If the country, of course, everybody needs to
So
come
we agree
here
on that.
legally.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to come here
Respecting
legally.
our law.
But how do you identify those that are here?
It's a very tough
And we
equation.
already had an act that said if you've been here 5 years and you own property and your children were born here, you automatically are a citizen.
So one thing to say about that, I saw the news recently that this mother who she's about 36 currently, and she moved here to America from Mexico at the age of 14. And so she's been here for about like 20 years, and she's had like 2 children here, and she's going to get her something, a visa or something, and she put a fake social security. It wasn't like identity, it wasn't identity, like a fraud identity, but she was sent back to Mexico when she hasn't been since she's 14 with her kids staying here, which I think is ridiculous.
See, that is a real serious problem. You're breaking up families.
Yeah.
Their children born here are automatically American citizens. And so touchback doesn't work. So we have to have a better way of keeping those people away who come here illegally. You see, but those who have been here and contributed to the economy, you go look at the fields in Middle California. You don't see people like me working the fields. Those are all.
Now women, as we're talking, they achieve, women is specific. Women, yeah. They achieve the right, and since the 70s, and they became very powerful. How about man right? And there's some men being abused, being raped, being sexually harassed by women. But in our society, it is a big taboo that nobody wants to bring that issue out, and nobody wants to talk about it. That men, I think, being losing.
Rape a man.
How do you rape a woman?
Walked into the front door. Friends said that they saw you. Months and days go by. You buy a house. Walked into the front door. Friends said that they saw you. Months and days go by. You played a perfect game. Walked into the front door.
Jordan had a question regarding.
Yeah, looking back from the 70s, women we have achieved a lot, many more rights, and so I just wanted to kind of get your 2 cents on women's rights and how apparently we abuse it nowadays.
All humans in this country, male and female, human rights. There are no rights just for a woman. Not each state, we have 50 states, whether to have those children or not. What the current administration wants to do is say she does not have a right to have an abortion, even if she was a victim of rape. So we have to interpret those rights state by state.
I want to jump to that. How about now women, specific women, yeah. They achieved the right and since the 70s and they became very powerful. How about man right? And there's some men being abused, being raped, being sexually harassed by women. But in our society, it is a big taboo that nobody wants to bring that issue out and nobody wants to talk about it. That men, I think, being losing the right in that country.
What do you mean losing the rights? They all have human rights under a democratic process, a democratic system. You have the right. If you think you're being abused, then you get an attorney to take it to court and to determine whether you were abused, somebody violated your rights.
Is our society ready and accessible to talk when man comes out, say that I've been raped or being sexual harassed? Is our society capable of accepting
How do you
that?
rape a man?
A woman CEO, woman president of company, of business, they abuse men, a lot of cases.
How do you rape a man?
How do you rape a woman?
Okay.
How do you rape a woman? A lot of women have sex with a man without force and they call it rape. It's the same way.
Well, I said that all rights are human rights. And when we need to change our Constitution, you can change it to fit the current stage that we're in. So each state determines for rights' sake who has the right to do what, and you have the right to go to court and to challenge that.
The point I was trying to make, because I think our society believes in equality. When a woman comes out, because there's so many cases in our society, say the man raped me, and there's no evidence for it. If she get mad at him in the morning and she decides to call the cops that he raped me, he will be arrested just because she said so, and there's no any force, and it was a consensual sex. Does man in our society, what I was trying to get there, can wake up in the morning and he say the woman raped me? Is the law will appeal to him as appeal to woman? This is my point. And there's so many cases out there that women lie and abuse that power and say man raped me. And there's so many cases out there like that.
Well, you know what man can do? Get an attorney and take it to court. And you have to have evidence of a rape. All right?
Correct.
And so that's the reason we have a Bill of Rights. And we continue to increase. But it takes 32 states to confirm.
Walked into the front door. Friends said that they
So the next question, we talked about the biggest achievement for President Obama, and you mentioned Obamacare. So what's his biggest failure while he was in the White House?
I didn't recognize any failures. Where I think there was lacking is that his meeting with other governments and all was not followed through into this new administration. And so there is nothing that you can say negative about his 2 terms in office.
My next question, what do you think about his foreign policy? Everybody say he has a big failure in his foreign policy. What do you think about
Well, that's what I was saying. The foreign policy that he developed with Iran and Iraq wasn't followed through on. And you see with this new administration unless they followed through and respected his meetings with them. That can be looked at as a failure of this new administration, but I think he probably should have emphasized it more with the new administration. I don't think that this current president thought he was going to win.
Let's go back precisely regarding President Obama. Given $150 billion to Iran, which is not our alliance, and also they sponsor terrorists, they sponsor Hamas, they sponsor Hezbollah, they sponsor the Muslim Brotherhood, the extremist group. Don't you think, and they are against our alliance with Saudi Arabia, our good friend, our alliance with the United States, and he given $150 billion to Iran to sponsor all this activity in Middle East. Don't you think this is a big failure for Obama administration?
He did not give it to them to sponsor all of that.
Correct. Precisely.
And so he did not give that money
So yes
to
or no,
them.
given $150 billion, it's a good decision or bad decision?
I think it was a good decision if it were used.
You're not using the right way. They fight in Saudi Arabia, our biggest alliance.
My answer to your question, it was a good decision. Now,
Obama administration supported the extremist group, the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, to take power in Egypt in 2012. And President Morsi became the president. And President Obama made a deal with the Brotherhood and gave them $8 billion in order to give 40% from Sinai Peninsula to Hamas and become a training camp to a new Al-Qaeda in Egypt. And when the Egyptian people, 40 million people, stood in the street in June 30, 2013, and overthrew President Morsi, and he got arrested by the military, Obama administration and Hillary, they call it a coup, which is it was a revolution. And as far as you remember, me and you, we said the next day here to explain to write a testimonial, because you were going to go to the Black Caucus at the time, and you want to give to President Obama that it was a revolution but by the young Egyptian people, and it was not a coup. Don't you think that was a big mistake from President Obama administration and Hillary Clinton to support the Brotherhood, the extremist group, against the will of the 40 or the 90 million of the Egyptian people?
I don't know if their intent.
Walked into the front door. Friends said that they.
My question, how, Diane, with that young age, how do you keep up your...
Motivation and energy for,
It's my mission in life, and I think we all have a mission.
yes.
And
Answer.
I'm a Catholic,
Mhm.
and I believe that our mission is determined at birth. It's the work I do. It's the work I believe in. It's the values that I hold, and I want to share them with others.
and also, Diane, you're very active in the community in Los Angeles County, and you attend red carpet events, you attended charity events, you're reaching out to inspire young people in school. So when you wake up in the morning, where did that come from? What's the inside motivation to do that?
Well, I know what I have to do in my own community. And so you can call me a role model if you want, but I see in the future that I can make things better. So when I wake up in the morning, I say to myself, what shall I do today to make things better for all of us?
Look in the camera straight, and I want you to talk to a young African American woman who watching Diane Watson now as a role model. What do you tell young African American woman right now in the camera who get pregnant in a young age, don't go to school, and not motivated in society? What do you tell them to inspire them to be the best that you can be?
What I would tell any young person, male or female, get as much education as you can. You need to be able to count your dollars and your cents. You need to be able to know how to calculate. You need to know how to speak the language of your community. and you need to know where you want to go. I have admired President Barack Hussein Obama because his mantra was, I can, I can. And you need to access what your strengths are and use those. Don't let anyone take you to the negative side. What you want to do is use what you know are your best abilities. Like yourself and know that you can do whatever you want to do as long as it's positive and taking you forward. And so people like me went to school. I went to school as long as I could. It was no question about whether you were going to college, because I believe the more you know, the higher you go.
Awesome. I would love to thank her for her great hospitality at her house today. We all had a great time today, so thank you.
Yes, it was such a pleasure. I was so inspired by being a young woman myself that hearing her stories, becoming the first African American woman in the California State Senate. Such an inspiration. Thank you. And thank you for coming to the Sean Delon shows.
And Congresswoman Diane Watson, we'll see you in the next episode at the Sean Delon show. Thank you again.
That joy, I want that joy, hey, I want that. I want that joy, I want that joy, hey, I want that joy every day.
Diane, if young African American kids now, women or boys, and in general, others beside African American, watching Diane now, how can those kids in the hood by South Central LA or Watts or Compton, how can to be inspired by Diane, to be like Diane Watson, and stay away from violence, drugs, gangs member, how can that African American kids in the street to be like Diane? How they can be inspired by Diane?
Okay,
What do you tell them?
it all starts in the home.
At home.
It all starts at home. And what they see their parents doing, too many of our homes are without fathers. And too many of our young people get pregnant, the girls get pregnant early, and they don't even know who the father was. So it starts in the home, and you have to model the behavior for your children that will lead them in a more positive. That's when I said helicopter into the home, into the neighborhood, into the community.
So the kids are
And
victim of the
They
parents
can be.
not being responsible and society.
When a child is born, who's the first person that the child sees? Is the mother. And if the mother learns,
So first,
so-
apologize to interrupt you. So you want to say mother and the father are the source and the foundation to create a peaceful, productive society.
the
So,
mother
the mother.
is the most important person.
And this is where we're going to
Child's
go from
side.
here.
When your eyes open, who do you see?
The mother. So what do you tell women in general in our society today? How women, they present themselves. And we're going to go to the other topic, woman rights. And in the old days, women, they were seeking woman rights
Well-
until they got the rights. But how women abuse the power of the right now, and they're not really productive in society. As you said, the problem comes with the mother at home. So our society is very defective, a lot of criminal, drugs abuse in our society. So that means it comes from the mother. She's responsible
Well,
about what's going on in our society.
the mother plays a major role. It's wonderful when you have the balance with the father, who really cares. But you learn your behavior in the place where you're born, all right? And you learn what,
That the future mother for the next generation, they're not capable and reliable and qualified to lead the next generation. So we're having a major issues. And nobody discussed that.
I wouldn't say that they're not qualified. It depends on the home, it depends on your value.
That the future mothers of the next generation, having problems.
You
to
can't
help
say
to-
that about all mothers.
Correct.
But in certain situations,
It's a big percentage.
And a lot of it has to do with the class system that we have in a democratic society. And the underclasses, where do they live? What are the opportunities? What will the mother do with the child? Have that child and put it on the doorstep for someone else?
This giver was turning it up like I was in a video on BT. You can't erase your past away, but you can take control. I want that joy. I want that joy. Hey, I want that joy. I want that joy. Yeah. Turning it up like I was in a video on BT. Like I was in a video on BT. You can't erase your past away, but you can take this.